Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA,
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten, we're here to remind you.
How can you forget, Sherry? You're absolutely fucking amazing. Exactly as you are. Isn't that the best news ever? Oh my God.
It is the best
No
news.
better news on a Friday, March 5th, 2021 than to find out you're absolutely fucking amazing without having to do anything.
Anything at all.
You don't have to earn it. You're already there. Welcome.
Good morning. Fun Friday.
Yes. Here we are.
I know. And guess where I am, Mark?
You are on the road.
I am on the road, Green Nurse on the go. I am here in Vermont, Plainville, Vermont, at In the Weeds Prohibition Talk Radio, broadcasting live right from the studio there. So it's kind of really fun, so we're creating more content for everyone. We want people to understand the power of this plant. And so we did some recording last night, which was really fun. We started Green Nurse on the Grow. So this is a really cool story. Obi Weed Kenobi is the name of a grower up here. So I got to meet him yesterday. And we looked at his plants. We looked at the grow tent. So we have this special going on with the grow guys. What is it? Bud grower. And so we have a tent. And so we're learning. So I'm learning once again to how to grow. And so it's really cool to have these caregivers here that are in the community that are truly, they're taking care of patients. And they're the ones that taught me a lot of what I know. And then now, I've taken it back and married it to science. So it's really cool just to get behind the scenes and to see what caregivers do in the community and how they set up tents and how they actually work with patients one-on-one. So I'm the patient and we have the grower. And so we're just recording some really cool content, so people can understand the plant a little bit more.
Love it.
And then I'm going to just talk a little bit more because I'm feeling a little chatty.
Oh my God. Here we go, folks.
I know, a little chatty Sherry this morning.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we're doing too is we're doing something really fun. And I'm really excited about this because Mark knows that I don't leave my house very often. And so I'm here up in Vermont. And so we're starting a new series, The Green Nurses and In the Weeds Prohibition Talk Radio, where we're going to be reviewing products, the different views review, right? With the Green Nurses and In the Weeds Prohibition Talk Radio. So we take two different views on all things cannabis. And we're going to look at that and look at different products. Like here, we got this cool thing called the terpometer. What is that? What does it do? So we're going to go through things like that and educate and explain people. And what would a medical patient use this for? And so we're going to have discussions about that, which is going to be really fun. And we know, so it's the different perspectives. So when you look at a product, you look at something, I call this durable medical equipment. Right. How can you use it? How might a medical patient use it? How might an adult use? I don't even want to say adult use. How might an adult use this in a way that's effective, to create the experience they're looking for? So there I am here in Vermont and so excited
on the road
for the daily love that you're going to provide to us this morning.
Yes. Let's get to the daily love. So we're on day 6 of our 7-day mental diet. And if you haven't tuned in, you don't know what this is about. It comes from a pamphlet, really simple, a pamphlet that was written by a guy named Emmett Fox in 1935. There was a lot happening spiritually and in the world in 1935. You know what I'm saying? A lot of good things were coming out. That was when, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of the best business books, one of the best books about how to have a fantastic life was written. Okay. Emmett Fox was one of those people at that particular time, new age spiritualist. And he wrote this pamphlet that, as I mentioned earlier, Tony Robbins credits as changing his life. Tony Robbins read it and said, literally changed his life. And it's about changing your thoughts to positive instead of negative. And again, we have a negativity bias that we're born with. It's part of being human. We always look at everything from a negative standpoint to be safe, right?
Oh,
we
yeah.
always think about what's the worst thing that can happen in this situation, because that's where we go to stay alive or have in the past.
Absolutely.
To change that, negativity bias, we need to create a practice. And that's what the 7-day mental diet is about. So we're on day 6 about how to change your thought process, or how to change your thoughts from negative to positive, because
Right.
what you think is what you create as your reality in life. So
There
if
you
you're
go.
thinking from a negative bias all the time, that's what you're going to draw and expand into your life. But if you
Well, there you
think
go.
from a positive viewpoint, you will attract, of course, that. So what Emmett said today, it is about having this 7-day mental diet, and you can do it over and over again, right? 7
Yeah.
days to do it. It says, if you will do so, it is safe to say that your whole life will change for the better. In fact, nothing can possibly remain the same. This does not simply mean that you will be able to face your present difficulties in a better spirit. It means that the difficulties will go.
Wait, say that again. Say that
Better at
again.
dealing with them, they just go away.
There you go. Well, there you go, because you've changed your perception and your
Yeah.
consciousness
And
around
they
the issue.
cannot remain in your space.
No, because here it goes. You ready? Energy. We're all about energy. Energy
Frequency
goes.
Friday.
Yes, energy goes where attention,
Yes.
energy flows
Yeah,
where attention goes.
that's
So
right.
how are we? So, you have these situations, or how are you going to process it? Are you going to look at it from the half the glass?
Oh, well, you're gonna start by looking at you're gonna start from a negative viewpoint, because that's how we're wired to do it. You can't
So here's
escape, but you can be aware of it and then change that awareness to positive.
right. So here's the thing. So when you have an empty cup, right,
Mhm.
and you're looking at the negativity that's in the cup,
Yep.
what do we need to do to fill the cup up? We need to feed our minds that mental diet and
It's the
all
mental.
the different tools and tips
Mhm.
and tricks that nourish the endocannabinoid system, because our
Right.
endocannabinoid system is truly the modulator of all the other systems in our body. And it's also
Mhm.
responsible for how we think, right? We got all
Yeah.
these receptors in our brain. So we have to feed them
Yes.
healthy things.
Right, right. And when you get down to it, it's all just neurotransmitters and synapses and neurons firing in your brain, and patterns that get wired. And we're born with a certain wiring, and that gets expanded upon over the course of time in your life, and you have experiences. And we always compare everything that we're experiencing now to something that happened in the past. It's automated. You don't stop it. It's just how we're wired.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, so what can you change? You
Right.
can
What can I
become
do?
the observer and look at it from outside. That's
Right.
the key.
And
You can
I'm
see what's
gonna
happening.
tie it into cannabis too. So how
Yeah, we're bringing it
cannabis
right in.
helps us to pull out
Mhm.
of the story that's
Yeah,
back there circulating, out of the story of what's going on in the 3D world, and how can we pull out of that and look at it from multiple different perspectives.
right.
Like, hey, Joe, this is for you. So
Yep.
yesterday, we were focusing. Okay, so I needed to focus on specific cameras. And
Mhm.
so Joe was putting his hands around the camera. So it's the same thing. You're focusing on the intention of the outcome that you want to have.
Yes, yes.
It's a whole
Inevitably, what it is you become the observer of the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves.
exactly.
That's
You
what
are
the
not your
7-day
thoughts.
mental diet does. Yeah, you are not your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's what the 7-day mental diet does. That's what meditation does. That's what all of those mindfulness practices do, is it disconnects you from being the thoughts and emotions to
Yeah.
being the observer of the thoughts and emotions. And when you can create that space, you create choice in the moment, and you get
Yes.
to choose who you want to be in that moment.
Yes. Yes. And we choose. You ready, everyone? Everyone, look at us in the eyeballs. We choose to be loving and powerful. We are
Yeah,
really, that's what we're doing, is we're bringing in. So when we talk about inhalation, just think about it. When you inhale your cannabis, give gratitude for this medicine that's coming into your body that's going to
absolutely.
circulate. It sounds really hokey, but you know what? It works. It works if
It
you work it.
does.
That's why, right? Yeah.
It does. So here we are. Freaky Frequency Friday. Fun facts.
Yes. Fun fact. So
We're
after
going to
this, I'll
talk
just
about Delta
Delta 8.
8 THC.
Delta 8 is so great. So this is a really
Oh,
fun, funky new cannabinoid that's been showing up, popping up everywhere.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Delta 8 is found. It's a cannabinoid that's found in the cannabis plant and hemp plant. And so people that are new that are watching, they don't know what cannabinoids are. So Mark, what are cannabinoids?
Oh my gosh, Sherry. They're diverse chemical compounds that act on receptors in our body. You
There you go.
have 3 classes of cannabinoids. There are endocannabinoids, which endo means in, so internal. So we actually, our human bodies and mammals in general, create these endogenous cannabinoids because
Yeah.
cannabinoids just a type of chemical structure. So we create them, right? We didn't. Who knew? We didn't know.
We didn't know. We talked about
We
that
didn't. We
yesterday.
didn't know. We talked about that yesterday. We didn't know until the 90s.
Right.
We didn't
Right.
know. And so there's endogenous cannabinoids, endocannabinoids, hence the endocannabinoid system, where all those receptors that deal with that. There's phytocannabinoids, which come from plants like cannabis, right? Phytocannabinoids. And then there are synthetic cannabinoids, and pharma makes those like Marinol and dronabinol and all of these synthetic cannabinoids.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So when we're
So
looking at Delta 8, people are like, where is it? Where does it come from? Does it have THC? Does it get you high? I've
yeah.
never heard of it. How can I use it? Where can I get it? So as researchers, we actually researched the science that what we could find. And we also we've been dabbling in it. We've been trying it. And it's a very, very interesting molecule that we're going to talk about our
Love it.
experiences.
Love it. Because Sherry, I'm very, very sensitive to Delta 9 THC, and I hardly ever, ever, ever smoke it because it's just too much at once for me. And everybody's different, right? Some people can smoke all day long. Me, I just have not been able to, and I don't. Very, very rarely. But I ingest it, and it's metabolized into a different drug, and that's beautiful for me. But Delta 8, we'll get into that.
Yeah. So Delta 8. So people are like, is it THC? What is it? So Delta 8 is an isomer of Delta 9 THC.
Right.
So what is an isomer, Mark?
So an isomer in chemistry it's a molecule that has the same atoms, but it's in a different arrangement. So that the atomic particles like hydrogen, carbon, all of these different atomic particles are the same number, same type, but different arrangement.
Right. There you go. Right.
Yeah. So when you have an isomer, it's going to connect to a receptor like a CB1 receptor, similar like Delta 8 and Delta 9 THC all connect to a CB1 receptor, right? It'll connect, but it's going to have a different effect because of those different
molecules. Yeah. So just imagine you've got 9. 9 is
molecule.
Here's a good one. Here's a good way to remember it. Yeah. 9 is higher than 8. Right?
Yes, and you know what? It is high. It is, yeah. So Delta 9, because of its chemical constituency, because of the way the atomic structure is and the atoms, is more psychoactive than Delta 8.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So Delta 8
is the same atoms. Isn't that wild? I mean, chemistry is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's really fascinating. So it's almost like, how you take like a 4-letter word and then you can make another word out of it. So that's just another cool example. You take a word and can you make another word out of it? Because that other word is the same letters, but it's going to give different meaning.
Different meaning, exactly. Yeah, good really cool analogy, Sherry.
I know. So here it is. So Delta 8 is an analog of THC 9 with anti-nausea, anti-anxiety, and analgesic properties, and it stimulates appetite and also has neuroprotective properties. So Delta 8 does bind to both the CB1 and the CB2 receptors through the body. And like we said, it's a little bit, it's different, the same molecules, but different arrangement. And it does offer euphoria without anxiety. So it's a lower psychotropic potency than Delta 9.
Right. Now,
here's Mark's experience. What's your experience, Mark?
Oh my gosh. So again, for me, Delta 9, I'm super sensitive to it. So of course, cannabinoids being biphasic, which means a small amount does one thing and a higher amount does another, and it's specific to the individual. For me, a little too much Delta 9 THC causes anxiety. Like, I seriously will have panic attacks. So I have to be very careful with that. But I can ingest Delta 9 and it gets metabolized to 11-hydroxy THC, to a completely different chemical. That has a different effect on the human body. And for me, it's a wonderful effect. But Delta 8, oh my gosh, it's just so different of an experience for me. So for me, and my wife commented on this, like, because I was given some fantastic gummies from a great manufacturer that is one of our partners to trial. And for me, I took that gummy just before bed, and I was just as happy could be, and calm and relaxed, and slept like a baby. I snuggled my wife she's like, you should take these every day, honey. You snuggle me all night long. It's so good. So for me, it's a great experience, and I really, really, really did sleep well. So I'm a huge fan of Delta 8 THC.
Here you go. And I'm gonna say too, I'm a fan of it as well. And the reason why is, and this is important for some people to know, is everyone's THC sensitivity is different. And we have found that, balancing out the rest of the cannabinoids when you take, Delta 9 THC is really beneficial. So what I have found, and I don't know sometimes if it's a new product that I'm trying or something that's different, someone that's given me something with Delta 9. So I have to manage it with CBD so I don't get that anxiety. So Delta 8 in micro doses, I feel slightly euphoric, but completely functional and relaxed. It manages symptoms without any anxiety. That's the best. So sometimes people, they'll take the Delta 9 and it's kind of like a crapshoot. I'll have my CBD ready. Oh gosh, do I need that? Do I need to balance it out with anything else? But I'm finding micro doses of Delta 8 allow you to have that feeling, to manage symptoms without feeling too impaired.
So that's my experience. Spot on, Sherry. My experience is that Delta 8 is less anxiety provoking.
Yeah. So here's one thing. So of course, we're researchers. And so one of my research experiments is whether I just took a little bit more just to see how it would feel. Now, here's the thing, is that I felt floaty. That's the best way I can explain it. So I felt a little floaty. It was a really good way to relax and to just sink into relaxation, and stop that mental chatter and just really get into the experience of being present in a relaxing way. That was in a higher dose. I didn't want to do much. I wanted to just really relax. And so that's what it did. But the small doses did something different.
For just before bed. Perfect for just before bed. I'd love to see some studies with Delta 8 and sleep, because we know that Delta 9, we talked about this, right? We've talked about sleep recently. We've talked about Delta 9. And so, Delta 9 can help you fall asleep very, very nicely. Really good at that. But it does affect your maintenance. Sleep maintenance is, you lose sort of that deepest part of the sleep. They think, that some of the studies show. I'd love to see some studies with Delta 8, because I'll tell you, I just slept so much better with Delta 8 on board, for sure. For me, anecdotal evidence, just for me, it worked for me much, much, much better. And I'd love to see, a randomized control trial on Delta 8 in the area of sleep versus another intervention.
So this is the part that's so cool about Delta 8, which we can manifest that study, is because how it's extracted is through distillation. Right?
Yes.
So they pull it apart. So cannabis flower contains less than 1% of Delta 8 THC. So getting a substantial amount to make products can only be done through extraction, isolation, conversion, and refinement of the flower. Right.
And
so, they pull it apart.
It's 2/3 as potent as Delta 9, which means it's not as psychoactively intoxicating than Delta 9 THC.
So a couple studies that, in 1995. So here we go. This is a good one with children. And this is in Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, the great grandfather, the godfather of cannabis. He was at the Hebrew University at Jerusalem, and they administered, the study did Delta 8, where they administered it to 8 children from the age of 3 to 13 years old with different blood cell cancers, okay? Various different types of cancers of the blood. So these children had been treated with different drugs, different chemotherapy agents for 8 months prior to taking Delta 8. So the Delta 8 treatments, they figured it out through their study protocol. They started the Delta 8 treatments 2 hours before each session of chemotherapy, and they continued the Delta 8 every 6 hours for 24 hours. So here is the thing that really blew me away. Okay, this is really big one. With this treatment, vomiting was completely 100% prevented. Right, that's amazing. So Raphael Mechoulam's quote in the study was, there was complete success in preventing vomiting, 100% success regardless of the cancer protocol that was used.
And that's huge for folks who are on a cancer protocol. Almost everyone experiences nausea to the point that they can't eat anything. They can't keep anything down. So this is huge. Now, let's just stop for a minute and talk about Israel. You notice that it's 1995, Dr. Mechoulam's doing this research, right? Think about how just what a shame it's been since 1937 the United States has not been able to do research. We are so far behind. Israel has been at the forefront of this magnificent plant medicine for 50 years or more, right? Dr. Mechoulam in 1964. They have been at the forefront. So kudos to them for doing this research in 1995.
I know.
So there's they are so far ahead of the rest of the world, so far ahead, and simply because the government supported the research.
Right.
They did not put any impediment in the way of doing quality, rigorous scientific research. So kudos to Israel for getting that on the map.
Yes. Yeah. So here's another one too. There's 2 other ones. One was in 1975. The National Cancer Institute found that Delta 8, as well as Delta 9, THC, and CBN together combined, had the ability to stop tumor growth. Right? So there you go. Delta 8 was involved in that concoction. And then there was a mouse study done in 2004.
We love mice.
We love mice. Our little friendly critters.
For so many breakthroughs in healthcare.
I know. We got to thank them.
Our rodent friends who sacrifice themselves so that we can have medicines that work.
Yeah. And this is a big one too, because I have issues with my stomach.
I'm sorry, Sherry. Casey Meyer, what pointed out that they did actually do research in the 70s and the government refused to accept it. That goes back as far as the LaGuardia report in 1940. After the 1937 prohibition, the mayor of New York City, LaGuardia, commissioned a study that totally refuted everything that the federal government had said, and he was summarily ignored. So that is a pattern that's gone on since prohibition began. Thanks for pointing that out, Casey.
Yeah. Sorry, that's okay. This is great, because this is a learning moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. We just got to keep the education going, and we appreciate you all being here. Let's say real quickly hello to everyone. So Jack. Yes. We've got Jack and we've got Joe. Hey, Joe, I'm going to say hello to you over here. Joe's in the studio with me.
Mr. Knox.
Actually, I'm in Joe's studio. That's what I should say.
Carrie Lee, Janet, everybody, Karen. Oh, who was our guest Wednesday night. So good to see you again. Casey, you guys, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, truly. So back to Delta 8 and why it's so great, and the mice that really showed us in 2004 what happened. So they found that low doses of Delta 8 increased food consumption, and it had the tendency to improve cognitive function without side effects typically associated with THC. So that's huge, right? So to have these medicinal benefits, with improving mental, so you just think about it. Think about this. This is a really cool analogy. So you think about gut health, right? And keeping our gut healthy and if you manage nausea and you can get healthy nutrients in, what's going to happen? Your endocannabinoid system is going to communicate with your brain.
That's right, because you
Right?
have your enteric nervous system, which is just an extension of your brain, which, by the way, is almost its own brain center itself because it can operate without being connected to your brain. If
Yeah.
you unfortunately become brain dead, your enteric nervous system in your gut that regulates everything in your gut, all the organs, continues to operate autonomously. Amazing stuff.
Amazing stuff. And
I
that's why
was
we're
gonna
here
say
to
amazing
give you
shit,
fun.
and then I thought about you. Well, hell yeah, it's our show. I can say that. That's
You can
amazing
see
shit,
it.
folks. Scientific
I know.
term.
We
Yeah. So this is
exactly.
important, right? Delta 8 can treat nausea, eating disorders, and cachexia, which, is huge in cancer and in HIV AIDS. You just and in all things, you need to eat to heal. You
You
just
need to eat to heal. Does everyone hear that out there? Food
yeah,
is very important. We must
yeah.
nourish our bodies to nourish our minds and our
Mhm.
spirits for sure.
And I love that,
So,
Sherry, that you mentioned it improves cognitive function because we dispelled that myth that cannabis lowers your IQ. That's
yeah.
just complete and utter nonsense, okay? And here's more evidence to support our side of the story.
Yes, exactly. So legal issues. This is really complicated. Okay.
Oh,
I hate
yeah.
talking about this. This is the part that I really hate to talk about. And the reason why is because I don't even think we should be having these discussions about legality. I think that we
Well,
need to free the plant.
here's the thing, right? So the government goes by what is law, right?
Mhm.
If you want something to change, you need to change the laws that are on the books. Well, the DEA is not happy about Delta 8. They are not happy because in the laws for, the 2018 Farm Bill that
Yeah.
really legalized hemp as a product and all of the products, constituent products that are from there, they only talked about Delta 9 THC. They only
Right.
specified that hemp has to be below 0.3% Delta 9
Mhm.
THC because they said that's the evil one that intoxicates people. Well,
Exactly.
they didn't think about Delta 8.
They didn't mention it. There
And
you go.
so it's legal right
It's
now.
legal.
The DEA
Yep.
is not happy, and I couldn't be happier about that. Woo!
Yes, it is, this is because it's medicine, and it works, and it's safe, and it relieves suffering, and it improves quality of life.
Thank
So
God.
thank God. So here it is. This is interesting. So D Delta 8 is legal if it is derived from hemp.
Mhm.
So hemp has to be less than 0.3% THC. So
Yep.
this is the interesting thing that I didn't know either. So you can synthetic Delta 8 can be done by altering CBD into Delta 8. So CBD from hemp and CBD from cannabis
Yeah.
can be modulated chemically,
Mhm.
to create Delta
Just
8.
gonna change the structure of those atoms. It's gonna change
Yep.
where they are.
Yep. Just float around. So here's one of our statements with this. Delta 8 is huge. It bridges the gap, right,
Yep.
between hemp industry and the cannabis industry,
Right.
because not only can it be used medicinally, but it can be used to improve your mood,
Yeah.
euphoria, so you can have a more enjoyable experience,
I
right? And the
love it.
other thing,
I
the other thing too is cost. So
yeah.
as patients, this is expensive. Cannabis can be expensive, so we're always looking for ways to save people money.
Yeah.
And
Make it
Delta 8 is one.
affordable to live a
Yeah,
healthy and happy life,
yeah,
unregulated from people who don't base their decisions on science, if you know what I mean with that.
I do. I
Yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
So top 8 Delta strains, believe it or not, I never knew that this existed. This is all new information, over the past few months when Delta 8 started to really spike up in the market. So we're seeing, and there are some websites out there that are actually selling Delta 8.
Right.
So, anyway, so top 8 Delta strains. I love
Mhm.
talking about strains because they're just fun names. And
Yeah.
they give a little bit of context, to plants. So when,
Yep.
people that have been looking at them, they're going to look at all these different things, but we're educating that, cannabinoids, but specifically terpenes make up, the chemovar of the plant. So top
Right.
8 Delta strains, Mark.
So here we go. Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Skittles.
Good.
Applejack, Blue Dream, and White Runts.
There we go. Delta
Yeah.
8 is so great.
Mhm. Mhm.
It is. We're there. We're there.
Yeah.
So Mark.
Yeah. Casey, I got to get this question. Casey, California banning hemp due to cross-pollination. Listen, it's all about money, baby. Their traditional cannabis marketplace, the marijuana marketplace, that's a big industry. And so hemp can cross-pollinate, and cause problems. So it's not surprising that they would ban that, because it's going to impact the multi-billion-dollar operation that's already in play. Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, Cher.
Oh,
okay.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But I want to say hello to your
tell
wife.
us what we're up against today. What are we doing this morning?
What are we doing this morning? We're going to be continuing to bring you all high vibes, right? So it's all about frequency, energy, love, light, information, education. So we're going to be bringing you another type of tool that we've been using. I've been a Reiki master, a reconnective healing practitioner. I was introduced to Healy, which is a microcurrent device by Green Nurse Denise. And so we've been working with this machine, and it's really, really helping. And I'm just going to explain just a little bit so it makes sense. So our cells all vibrate, at a specific frequency.
We're all
a
energy.
Healthy cell, right? It's just a brand new baby that's born with these healthy cells. It vibrates at 70 hertz.
Yep.
Okay. So as cells get older, they start to lose that juju, that energy. The number starts to decrease.
Yeah.
And so then when you think about it, our cells are replicating. Do you want to replicate a healthy cell or a cell? You know what I mean? So that's what happens. It duplicates what's going on in your body. So we want to replicate healthy cells. So what this does is it vibrates good energy into the cell, and it allows increased permeability. Everyone's like, what the frig is that? So in, out, permeability, what goes in, what goes out. So healthy nutrients into a cell, pooping out the bad stuff, right? In with the good, out with the, and so that's what it does. It improves our cells' permeability to be able to hold in more energy.
And it can do it from a remote location. If you think that's bullshit, turn your radio or TV on. Where's the signal coming from, folks? That's energy.
Energy.
That's energy beaming through. This is just a different frequency that is tuned to the human body.
Yes.
Love it.
So join us at 9 a.m. in the Green Nurse community. We're going to be going live. Green Nurse Denise, Michelle, and Carrie Lee will be with us.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're doing this is because we have an obligation as nurses. We have an obligation that if we know that something works, or we feel that it works, or we've seen results, we just want to share the information with you so you can delve into it. And, and to learn, knowledge and power.
I mean, you and I are experts in this cannabis modality, but it doesn't mean that there aren't other modalities that are going to complement all of what we do. We always say cannabis is not the be all end all, but it's a huge piece of the puzzle of living a healthy, happy life. And we bring in the energy healing and the other modalities, and together, oh my gosh, we are going to
we heal
what has happened over time, because that's how stuff goes bad. It doesn't just happen like that, right? Like, pancreatic cancer, it's like a 5 or a 10-year turn to get to a point to where you can even see it. So it's there for a long time. So let's do things today that are going to have a positive impact over the long term. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
AFA.
Here we go. I'm going to have an AFA day.
I'm going to have an AFA.
It's Friday. It's the only March 5th, 2021 we're going to get. Let's really make it the best day ever, Sherry.
Let's make it the best day ever. So reminder, we're all about saving people money. And, like I said, we're recording this new show, Green Nurse on the Grow. And basically the bud grower has 10% off everything at checkout, Prohibition 10. So we're going to put that in the comments. Joe's going to put that in the comments for me.
Yes.
So people can get their grow on. And then the part that's cool is we're going through the tent. We're opening up the box. We're talking about everything that's in it. We're actually going to set up the tent, because I'm new. I'm new at this. Like, I've been learning all along, and you just can't, open up a box and expect to grow these beautiful flowers. So you really need to take the time to learn about it. So we're going to teach you. It's science. I'm learning. So you're going to come learn with me. I got a lot of questions.
I know. Melissa, thanks for stopping by. Love you too. Love you guys. Thanks everybody for stopping by and hanging out with us. We really do appreciate you being here. And you know what? Spread the word. We want to make this thing as big as possible. We got a lot to say. You got a lot to say. This is the platform to do it. Every
Yes.
weekday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or on Facebook, on YouTube. We're streaming live. And remember, 9 a.m. It's coming up shortly this morning on the Green Nurse Community Facebook. There's going to be an awesome, awesome moment of energy healing and explanation and education. So,
Yes.
Sherry, AFA Day. Listen,
AFA.
baby, what is it all about?
Oh, goodness. I love to say that because it's truly all about living your best life and helping others do the same.
Yeah. All right, everybody. See you at 9 a.m. and on Monday morning at 8 a.m. Have the best Friday, March 5th you can ever have. And we'll see you on Monday morning, too.